That's
I
the type of fart.
I was think, I was I was thinking it was loud and a mess.
You know, it's like, really, this is the first time this person met you. But that's neither here nor there. We are live with another episode of BS Busters. I'm glad for everyone to join us. Now, before we go any further, just a few announcements. This is the first time I'm using, well, not the first time. I'm back to using OBS instead of using Streamlabs. Mostly because apparently OBS was doing a lot of, it's not OBS, Streamlabs was doing a lot of shady shit. So, back to using an old favorite of mine. But that's neither here nor there. Let's keep it moving. But before we go any further, let's have everyone introduce themselves, starting with the lady, then the gentleman, then myself. So, let's go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all ages to the Special Assembly Podcast. I'm Joy Moonstar, and if you're getting ready for Black Friday, you might want to purchase some body armor.
Yeah, I have never understood people who go shopping physically on Black Friday. Not when you can just order stuff and have it delivered to your house. Kanoshi, introduce yourself.
This is Kanoshi Abominito here with here on the BS Busters and the drama, the GTA drama just keeps on keeping on.
Yeah, it's like just when you think it can't get worse, it gets worse. And it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. So here we go. We're gonna dive right in, but before we do, just gonna let you know on what we're covering tonight. We don't have a massive amount of stuff. We have a few free topics we'll get to later on, but our main things are going to be the Rockstar Take-Two / Grove Street Games GTA Definitive Edition debacle. The mea culpa they announced, which was an admission that they took no blame and tried to they Rockstar and Take Two took no blame and just threw it off on Grove Street Games. And then Activision Blizzard's Bobby Kotick. Bobby Kotick is the albatross around that company's neck, and more. So let's get to. I guess we'll talk about Rockstar Take Two Grove Street Games, the GTA Definitive Edition debacle. Basically, in 10 days, it wasn't even
Yeah,
2 weeks. In 10
I'm gonna.
days. No, go ahead, Joel.
I was gonna say, Rockstar trying to throw blame elsewhere, and it took less than a fortnight to see GTA 3 go into the shelf or vault.
Well, the whole trilogy, really, the whole HD trilogy. So, for those of you who don't know, Rockstar about 2 years ago, a little bit of background. 2 years ago, Rockstar decided, hey, we're gonna remaster. We're gonna have a remaster of the games that made us into Rockstar. Because before Rockstar made the 3D GTA's, they were Rockstar, but before then they were DMA Designs, and the iconic game of DMA Designs was Lemmings. Okay, which is an iconic PC game, but I mean that was a very niche audience. So the iconic game for Rockstar, when someone
More
says,
of a
"Hey,"
tactics game.
uh, I mean Lemmings wasn't so much tactics in the traditional sense. It was more of a strategic game and knowing order of operations, stuff like that with your Lemmings. But that's neither here nor there. But like when someone says Rockstar to the average gamer, they're going to think, "Oh, GTA." Right?
GTA.
That's the synonymous with them. And when people are going to think GTA, they're not going to think the 2D GTAs. They're going to think, GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas. Those are the bellwether games for.
Definitive.
Well, I wouldn't say they're definitive, but like when you think, it's like Nintendo. When you think Nintendo, the first thing you're probably going to think of is Mario, or if you're older, Donkey Kong, but definitely Mario. Maybe Legend of Zelda. Pokemon. Even though technically speaking, Pokemon is second part is Pokemon technically is more of a third party exclusive these days. Now, when Pokemon first started, it was like a Nintendo second party exclusive, but now it's more of a third party exclusive. But that's neither here nor there. So basically, like Rockstar's bones, as it were made with GTA. And so 2 years ago, they said, "Hey, we're going to have these games remastered." Now, typically speaking, when you have an outside studio working on, well, first of all, you wouldn't let an outside studio remaster your bellwether marquee titles that made you into what you are. But if you were, you wouldn't get a outside studio that has less than 24 employees, and the ports of your games that they have made were for mobile, and people hated those. You'd be like, we need to step up our game on this one. Did Rockstar and Take-Two do that? Hell no. They decided not to. So, cut to 6 months before this game came out, Rockstar and Take-Two start filing a lot of DMCA's and takedowns against modders who had fixed a lot of the issues in the classic editions. These are 10-year-old games that Rockstar never got down to doing because Rockstar didn't really give a fuck at that point. The rumor began going that Rockstar is going to remaster their 3D GTA 6th gen GTA games, which they did not. They had a studio that made mobile ports of these games that people who played the mobile ports hated them, and they gave them 2 years to do a port of this game in a new engine for the studio, which is Unreal 4, and with less than 24 employees to do it, and probably gave them a small budget to do it too. So it's no wonder that this shit did not turn out very well. Not surprising at all. So with that being said, what are your guys' take on this debacle?
This is looking like 2077 all over again, but a different flavor.
Yeah, I would say it's about the same thing, but the scope is different. Because, I'm not... No, go ahead, Ganoshi.
I would say it's worse than 2077 just for the sheer fact that this is a remake of an already an established type of a beloved franchise, whereas 2077 was a new IP.
Yeah.
It was new to most people. Most people haven't probably really heard of the tabletop game.
Yeah. And, I'm not absolving CD Projekt Red of the way that game came out, but to be fair, CD Projekt Red basically had put out a game of that scope where earnest work on the final build had only been going on for like 2 years, and they had put it out early. Like a year, like it should have been in the oven for another year. I'm not absolving them, but there was some mitigating factor to Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to give those same mitigating factors to apply those same mitigating factors to GTA Definitive
Rockstar?
Edition. Yeah, because these are 20-year-old games. It's not like they had to make code from scratch. Yes, they were up-resing it and putting it into the Unreal 4 engine, but that's not like they still don't have to make a lot of assets from scratch. This is just like this is Rockstar and Take-Two being cheap and going with the cheapest the cheapest way they possibly could. Like they went cheap.
Bottom of the barrel cheap. Because that's beeping cheap.
For Rockstar and 2K, yeah. Not 2K, Take-Two. Like when you factor in that Rockstar and Take-Two make billions of dollars from GTA Online, and they got a studio that had less than 24 people working on this game. I mean, that's cheap. So people shouldn't be surprised that this game is in the state it's in. Like, people shouldn't be like, "Oh, I can't believe this game is like uh, in the state it's in." It's not surprising because clearly they did not care. Um, and for them, which leads to the second part of this, which is Rockstar all like, well, this didn't meet our product standards. Let me put it this way: there is no like. When I reviewed this game, by the way, shameless self plug-in. If you go to my channel, I have the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition review on there. But I played those games for 5 hours for each game. GTA 3, GTA Vice City, GTA San Andreas. But like, I played those for 5 hours apiece. But you can play those games for like 10 minutes apiece, and you can tell that there's something wrong with these games after 10 minutes. There is no way anyone who was in quality assurance who allowed these games to be on console or be released said that these games, or even Rockstar themselves who put it out on PC, you cannot tell me that no one played these games and said this is not up to snuff. And if someone says it wasn't up to our standard, bullshit. You, sir, are full of bovine scatology, my friend. Or as they say, patootie. Patootie, I say. Patootie.
That would be something funny for sure.
So, so basically they released this apology that's full of platitudes that mean nothing. And now they've reestablished the original editions, but they're on their store. The classic editions, but they're on their store. And they're giving away the classic editions, which, here's the thing. Most people who are GTA fans already have the classic editions. So, on PC. So you giving it to people is like, it's kind of weird. But what are you guys' thoughts on that? This nonsensical shifting blame apology that they did.
Why am I not surprised? And of course.
Yeah. Can't say I'm surprised. Kenoshi?
Maybe instead of apologizing, maybe just fix the game. Maybe that's what you should be focusing on.
Yeah, I would say fix the game and stop suing modders who most of the issues that are with the definitive edition, modders fixed years ago. maybe don't, like, I mean, it's like these companies don't understand. Look, let me explain something to you with old ass games like GTA on PC and stuff like that. The reason your games continue to sell is because modders make them viable. Okay? Do you think Skyrim would have sold as much if modders weren't adding new content to it? No. But here's the difference between Bethesda and Rockstar, right? Bethesda knows that the only reason their games sell is because there's a vibrant modding community making their games better for gamers on PC. No one, like, Rockstar goes out of their way to make it hard for people to mod their games. Like, just like, I mean, they go out of their friggin' way to make things unnecessarily difficult. Suing people and doing takedowns and stuff. It's just bad. It's bad. And they're like, well, these people have stolen from us. Let me explain something to you. The only way someone can really mod these games is if they bought a legal copy in the first place. Okay? They didn't steal from you. They bought the game legitimately.
Yep.
Jackasses. Anyway, anything else you guys want to add to their lackluster apology before we move on to the next topic?
How much do you want to bet we're not gonna hear the end of this one?
Oh, they shouldn't. People shouldn't. You shouldn't hear the end of it. Like Rockstar should be reminded that they themselves allowed their marquee product to be sullied with their first.
As in, as in how much do you think it's gonna go on? That's the thing.
Mm.
I think it'll go on until the next thing comes out, and people will forget it. Because that's what happens. You know, people are mad until the next thing comes out that makes them mad, and then they forget about what made them mad before that. You know, people don't hold on to outrage. Now, you know, for better or for worse, I'm a person who holds on to outrage. Like, you fuck me over, I will remember that shit until I'm an old man. Like, I remember people fucking me over when I was in kindergarten.
Oh,
Like, I don't let shit go, especially if I feel that it was undeserved or not right. Like
yeah.
like when I was in preschool, there was this lady who would whoop me because I wouldn't take naps. And I was like, first of all, most little kids, especially little boys, don't like taking naps anyway because you're full of energy. All right, fuck 5 hour energy. If they could bottle a small amount of the energy that little preschoolers and kindergartners have, let me tell you something.
The city would be running for weeks.
That shit
and
would be
months
better
on
than
end.
coffee. It's like coffee. No. This is called toddler. This toddler energy. You drink a little bit of this. This will keep you going for the rest of the day as an adult.
That'd be great.
You know, but I mean, yeah. So yeah, this lady used to beat me repeatedly, and with
For keeping awake.
yeah, because I wouldn't take my naps. Because basically, like we'd have breakfast and then we'd have lunch and then we'd
She
have
is.
naps.
Yeah. I'm trying not to face palm to some of this.
Yeah, well, you know. But my point is this: if I ever see that lady in person, I'm gonna kick her ass. And I wish somebody would say something to me about it too. You can't do that. This shit's personal. Because I am a vengeful person. Okay? When someone does something that I feel is wrong to me, I hold on to that shit. I don't let it go. But I'm different. You know, some people they forgive. I don't forgive. Well, I might forgive, but I'm like, you know, I'm still gonna you're gonna have to have some punishment for it. You know, a lot of people like to say, a lot of people think forgiveness means that you don't get punished. No,
No, it doesn't mean that at
no,
all.
forgiveness means that, uh, you know, like you might, you know, people acknowledge that you did it, and they might understand why you did it, but you're going to be punished, and sometimes the punishment is going to be brutal. But you know, you shouldn't do fucked up shit. But that's neither here nor there. Um, so you know that extends to my gaming life. Like if a company sells me a lackluster half-ass product, I'm not just going to be like, oh well, you know, they had a hard time, because that's what they're trying to do now. They're like, well, these developers are having a tough time. That's not my problem.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys went to a restaurant, right, and you ordered a product, you don't care if the chef is having a bad day. You want your meal to be served and be served the way you want it. You know, like you don't want to
At the
hear.
very least, I was gonna say, at the very least, it should be served on time, cooked correctly, and not give you the case of the runs.
I mean, I would go with that, but I'm also just saying in general, you don't want to hear, like, I know this is going to sound callous, and I'm sorry if it sounds that way, but if you buy a product, like if you go to a restaurant, right, and your waitress is having, like, let's say you have a female server, and I know this is going to sound callous. I don't care if you're having a bad day, if you're having a bad case of cramps and PMS. Serve me my meal. Like, don't fucking give me bad service because you're having a bad day. Because, look, here's the thing. I didn't have to come here. I could have went someplace else. I don't fucking care. Okay? We don't have that type of relationship. The relationship is I come in, I give you money for a product, and you give it to me, and it's in an acceptable range of a result. Okay? I know I don't look, if something bad happened in your life that day, like your kid got a bad grade or your lights got turned up, that's terrible. But as a customer, I shouldn't have to suffer because your life sucks. You know, like people are like, well, you know, the developers, not my problem. Okay? Rockstar needs to pay the price for this because Rockstar is the one who put this shit through. They're the ones who said, hey, this company made ports of games that no one liked. We're going to get them to make the ports of this shit. Rockstar made that choice.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna give them a shoestring budget and 2 years to remaster 3 games that took Rockstar themselves like 5 years to make. We're gonna give them, for GTA 3 it took them like 5 years to make that game. We're gonna give them two years to make something. Just one of the games in the trilogy took Rockstar 5 years to make. We're gonna give them 2 years to do that. Plus, in a new engine, because they up-resed it. They up-resed it in Unreal to Unreal 4. They moved the assets to Unreal 4.
Why did they do that? Why not just?
Because it was easier to port it. It would be easier to port it to multiple systems.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I was just gonna say, it's just like, why not just improve the textures, the frame rate, and the controls, and then port the game into other consoles? But I guess that would have been too difficult to port those old engines.
Look, man, that makes sense. That's good business. Look, first of all, why would you give a studio of less than 24 people the task of remastering 3 games that are your bellwether games, like the games that made you? Why would you do that?
Wouldn't it have taken more time to put the game in a new engine, get the game working in a new engine, and then port the game to different consoles rather than just improve the textures, the controls, the resolution, and then just port the console or port the engine or port that game to other consoles? I figure that would take less time than trying to rebuild the game from the ground up in another engine.
I mean, you're right. It would have, like, they should, if they were serious about this, they should have started this project like 5 years ago. Or even just 4 years ago. 4 years ago, they should have started this project 4 years ago. They should have been moving the assets over into Unreal 4 4 years ago. They should have been taking those assets and having people look at them and make sure. Because with shit like this, you want to get it right. Okay? Because you only have one chance to make that impression. Like, even if they fix all the shit afterwards, people are always going to remember those. They're on the internet. You can see the memes of the terrible arms in San Andreas. Like, you know, this is business 101. It's like if the first time someone came into one of my establishments and they saw a roach on the wall, there's nothing I can do to ever change that first impression. They're going to assume, yeah, there's roaches in that man's establishment. You know? Forever and ever and ever.
So we're going from Rockstar to Activision Blizzard, aren't we? Or is
Yes.
there? Oh God.
Activision Blizzard. Bobby Kotick is the albatross around Activision Blizzard's neck. Bobby Kotick is the albatross that's dragging them down. Basically, we thought it couldn't get any worse than that Wall Street Journal article that basically determined that Bobby Kotick knew about this shit. What I said before the Wall Street Journal, I said there's no way that you can run a multi-billion-dollar company and not be aware of this shit for years. Turns out the Wall Street Journal agreed with my assessment and said, yeah, Bobby Kotick knew about this shit for years and put people in place to bury it and hide it and obfuscate it. So Bobby Kotick has to go. Like, Bobby has to fucking go. Bobby has to pack his bags and get the fuck out.
Yeah, and if he isn't gone, somebody else is going to be gone that will be able to do so.
No, Bobby has to go. Bobby and all of the executive board members, which are all the people around him that he put in place to help him hide this shit, they need to go too. Basically, all the top brass need to be
Yate
they need to be given their pink slips.
their papers.
Yeah. Because at this point, Bobby Kotick and the executive board are more of a liability than they are
A boon.
Yeah.
How fun.
Yeah. They're more of a liability than they are.
Liability.
Yeah, they're more of a liability than they are a strength, because at this point, like basically, Call of Duty is being pulled from the PSN, Microsoft, like company, like the platforms where they make their money are saying, I don't think we can continue to be
To work with
associated with you.
Activision Blizzard.
You know, the Girls Coders Academy, which was basically a program designed to get young girls into coding, which statistically you have far less women into coding than men. So, you know, that's a good thing, getting more diversity in the gaming industry. And like they're like, we can't be associated with you.
They pulled from those guys. If anything, I'm surprised they haven't done that sooner.
Well, I mean, they didn't know.
Why?
Well, they didn't know. Like no one knew how bad this was. Well, I should say, no, the public didn't know how bad this was, because clearly, like I said, you know, I remember when remember G4 TV.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching G4
I was about
TV.
to remember. I was about to say, hey, you mean the one that had Adam Sessler talk about how Kotick was kind of a
He said he was the evilest
in
man.
so many ways.
He said that Bobby Kotick was the evilest man in video gaming. Like, he's the devil. And we just thought, like, because Adam Sessler is kind of bombastic, maybe he's joking. No, that motherfucker was right.
I was actually wondering. I was wondering where he got that from in the first place, but now we
How
see
long
why.
How long has he been with that company?
Bobby Kotick?
Yeah.
I can Google it. Let's see. How long has Bobby Kotick?
If I got it right, he was in just during one of the FIFAs, probably FIFA 14.
FIFA's made by EA, not
Sorry, I'm thinking a little too hard here. Because slime balls like that usually have a record of some kind, or some kind of event that signals that they came in, like during some kind of World of War. Maybe it was one of the World of Warcraft expansions.
Okay. Bobby Kotick has been with Activision since '91.
Activision Blizzard.
So it's time for him to get the fuck out.
Dang.
Yeah, it's time for him to get the fuck out.
if I think about it, isn't that near the birth of World of Warcraft?
No, but he's been there since '91. So '91, 2001, that's 10 years. 2011, that's 20 years. He's been there 30 years. It's time for him to get the fuck out. He's been CEO for 30 years. It's time to go. Just get the fuck out.
30 years.
He's had a good run. It's time to get the fuck out.
I was about to say, 30 years. That's quite a long time, but usually you'd have at least a good reason to keep somebody in one position for so long. Makes me wonder what that is.
I mean, listen. For all the money that he's made for the company, he had a good run. It's time to get the fuck out. Okay, any job that you've been on for 30 years, it's time for you to go. Okay, if you're not looking to go, you're looking like. Let me put it this way: if you're a government employee, you're eligible for retirement after 25 years for a lot of positions. 30 years, you know, is for a lot of people 30 is the sweet spot. So I mean, if I was Bobby Kotick, I would say, you know what, it's time for me to go. Like, he still has enough time to leave on his own terms. Say, you know what, I'm gonna retire.
Yeah, at least before something goes south.
It's already gone south, but he has enough time to leave and make it not look as bad as it is right now. You get what I'm saying?
I was about to say, it's like, well, you can get out now while the ship is sinking, or get out while the ship is about to kiss the ocean floor, something like that.
No, it's more like there's enough time. Like it's kind of like have you ever tripped and caught yourself so that it didn't look as bad as it was or could have been? Like, that's the thing. It's that moment where you tripped and you caught yourself.
I was about to say, it's that second. Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of a small window of time to catch yourself from falling to fallout crash.
It's the difference between tripping and catching yourself and making it look like you meant to do that and you were doing some acrobatic shit, and tripping and falling flat on your face and embarrassing yourself. The choice is up to Bobby and his team. At this point, it's time. It's time to get new people involved. It's time for Bobby Kotick to leave. He's been there 30 years. It's time to get the fuck out. He had a good run. 30 years is a good run, but it's time to go. Okay, he's ran that company like his own little fiefdom where he could do whatever he wanted with impunity, and it's time for him to go.
Yeah.
I was like, so why is this guy acting like this? He's been there 30 years. He built it to what it is. He thinks it's his business. Okay? He thinks it's his company. He could do whatever he wants. Damn the consequences. So at this point, you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to change
the business anymore like that.
Well, he's been there 30 years. It's entrenched. You're not going to be able. He's not going to change. Okay? Because what he's been doing for 30 years has worked for him.
Yeah.
He's made a lot of money. So at this point, the only thing you can do is for him to go. That's the only way it's going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that, and considering that he already outlasted the founders that likely built that company, it's clearly time for him to get some boxes.
Well, you'd be there for 30 years. You be there for if you're there for 30 years, you know, it's time for you to go. It's time for him. It's time for his ass to go. And I know some people are going to be like, but, you know, insert reason here why, you know, like, Activision will be fine. Activision has enough IPs that people like from them that they'll be able to carry on. But their head management, the people on top of the board, they need to go. It can't you can't keep on supporting this. You can't keep it rolling along. So yeah, it's time for him. It's time for his ass to go. And that's all I'm saying. Kenoshi, you have any thoughts on it? Agree, disagree?
Hello.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if time to retire, take your golden parachute, right off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Make things.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, see it.
Right off into the sunset and go away. It's time. It's time for a new era at Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, Bobby Kotick is more of a liability than he is a asset at this point.
Assets.
Because people aren't gonna stop. People aren't gonna stop discovering fucked up shit that Bobby Kotick has done, or has hidden, or has allowed to happen under his watch.
There's one reason why I honestly would keep him there, and this is totally sad for me to actually say this. It's because whoever replaces him might be worse. That's the only thing I might be worried about.
I mean, you could say that, but I mean, the thing is this: the reason Bobby Kotick was able to get away with this for so long is that he didn't have any oversight. He had no scrutiny. As long as he brought money in, no one was going to say anything. Well, I mean, this is why I tell people this all the time, and they get angry at me when I say this. This is why industries like the video game industry with coding, they need a union. You need someone in the room with a stick saying, look, if you fuck us over, we have leverage too in this fight. You can't just fuck us over just for the bottom line. There needs to be oversight and leverage on both sides of the equation. Because, like I said, the only reason Bobby Kotick was able to get away with this shit for so long was there was no oversight. Like, as long as he was given return on investment to develop to the shareholders, they were like, it doesn't matter. But this shit is bad. And, personally, I don't really feel so. I mean, I don't feel sorry for. It's really hard for me to feel sorry for a man who's worth $600 million.
Yeah.
Like when I see, oh man, rich people, they might raise our taxes. Man, fuck you. Even with COVID, I'm still relatively comfortable. And I pay more taxes than a lot of millionaires. So you know what? I don't feel sorry for you. Okay? Now if you make $30,000 a year and you're living in an apartment with like 6 people, you, your spouse or significant other, and like 4 kids, and both of y'all are working and you still can't make it work, I feel sorry for you. But if you are some billionaire or millionaire, I don't feel sorry for you. I don't feel sorry for millionaires and billionaires. I'm sorry. Okay? Forgive me. Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. I don't feel sorry for rich people.
You're gonna have to eat lobster maybe once a week instead of 3 or 4 times a week.
That's the thing. They're not even gonna.
What to do?
Like if you have to pay 30% of your income and you make like $3 million a year with passive income, you still have $2 million a year. You're still going to be able to pay. You still own your house, or it's under a receivership under your business. You still are going to be able to afford everything you are used to, your lifestyle, you're going to be fine. Okay. Now, if you make $30,000 a year and you have to give $10,000 of that in taxes, you're going to have to live with your parents. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for Bobby Kotick. Okay. I don't. Fuck him.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear, oh, I don't feel sorry for those people. I don't feel sorry for them. Okay? Like Yves Guillemot. I don't feel sorry for Yves Guillemot. Yves Guillemot is rich. He built his wealth on the back of other people doing the work. Okay? And he created this boys club where certain people who made a lot of money could get away with murder, and not literal murder, but like just do whatever the hell they wanted with no consequences.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I just, and the same thing with like Yves Guillemot and how Ubisoft has been doing, they did their shit, and Bobby Kotick, same thing. The only difference is that Bobby Kotick's probably been doing his shit longer because he's been there since '91. Ubisoft didn't become what it is until like the 2000s. So Bobby Kotick has a 10-year jump on Ubisoft.
Yeah.
But they're functionally the same little fiefdom where these men thought, well, as long as we make money, we can do whatever we want to.
Yeah.
Damn the consequences. So yeah,
You guys still ragging on Bobby?
well, we have some free topics that are coming up. Free topics like Monster Rancher has returned. It's on Steam, and you don't have to use CDs to generate your characters, your monsters.
Wait, you don't have to use something like the CDs in order to generate monsters.
No, there's a
Wasn't that the gimmick?
Yeah, the gimmick of Monster Rancher was you could use CDs to generate monsters. But none of that mattered because your first generation monster, even if you used a rare CD to breed like a really badass monster, your first gen monsters always, by the time they got useful, you only got maybe like a year or two, maybe 2 or 3 of events of usefulness out of them. Then you either retired them or bred them, or turn them into trainers for the next generation of monsters, which were much better. So, even with CD generation, you weren't getting good monsters in Monster Rancher. Kind of the flaw of
That
Monster
kind
Rancher,
of
really.
blows.
Well, that was the flaw of Monster Rancher. It's just like, your monsters just weren't very useful first gen. Like, even if you did everything right, your first gen monsters kind of sucked. Really, the best monsters you could get in Monster Rancher were the mutants, which were like the derivative monsters you could get if you fused monsters together, or your later generation monsters that basically were like you bred monsters together to create new, more powerful versions. Like a Mochi +3 is way better than a Mochi first generation. Or Suezo +4 is much better than a Suezo first generation.
That I could fully agree with, sadly. Because sometimes I I wonder if even using those CD creatures that you get, would they actually grow with what you earn?
I mean,
And I
like,
actually
even
feel
if
the
you
answer
got a
would be
really
no.
good one, not really. Because some of the best monsters in the game weren't even the ones you got from CDs. Some of the best monsters you got in the game were the ones where you used the password system to get them. And even those really weren't that great. Like, they just grew a little bit faster than per the usual. But that's neither here nor there. So what do you guys think about the return of Monster Rancher? Yay, nay, good, bad?
This is going to
Um,
be against Pokemon.
I never really watched
I
or I never really played the game. I was just aware of the show.
I played Monster Rancher 3.
I played Monster Rancher 2 because I could never find 1, and I played Monster Rancher on the GBA Monster Rancher, where you couldn't do CDs on that either. You did um,
Passwords.
passwords, yeah. Because I mean, clearly you can't hook up a CD player to a Game Boy Advance. I also watched the TV series. I liked the TV series. I thought it was more interesting than anything that was coming out of Pokemon. But that's not really hard to do because Pokemon hasn't been interesting in years. The anime. So
I was going to say, Gen 1, Gen 1 Pokemon is easily trounced.
no, just in general, Pokemon the anime series aren't interesting because it's
Kind of a
this.
bizarre. Kind
Pardon?
of a. I vaguely remember that show where the end goal was for the main character to find the Phoenix.
Yeah.
So he can get back home.
Yeah, I mean the principle behind it was interesting. The problem with it, the problem with the series was, um, the problem with the series is that it always had kind of um, inconsistent show times. Like it never came on at the same time every week. Like sometimes it would come on earlier, sometimes it would come on later. The episodes came out haphazardly, so you'd get a lot of repeats. Um, like so it was just one of those things. But I think had it been properly supported and had it really taken off, like the problem with all the Pokemon analogs that came out, like Pokemon competitors, is that they weren't properly supported or grown. Like Monster Hunter, sorry, not Dragon Quest Monsters. Dragon Quest Monsters actually had the Pokemon formula, but did it better than Pokemon. But Enix really didn't support it the way they should have, so it never really took off the way it could have.
I was going to say, support and timing usually can do a game real quick. So
Well,
if anything, support are expected.
with Dragon Quest Monster, it was mostly support. Because, like I said, if anyone who's played a Dragon Quest Monsters game knows that, yes, on the surface, yeah, you're collecting monsters and you have to do X, Y, and Z with them. But Dragon Quest Monsters has so much more depth than Pokemon. That if you like having a monster collecting RPG, and I don't really consider the Pokemon games to be RPGs, but if you like the concept of a monster collecting RPG and Pokemon is a little too shallow for you, Dragon Quest Monsters will scratch that itch without talking down to you or treating you stupidly, or having this stupid shit where you can only have one item on your Pokemon. Because in Dragon Quest Monsters, you can fully equip your monsters. You have a certain type of monster, you can give them a weapon, armor, shoes, 2 accessories. They're packing heat. It's awesome. The only downside, they don't have male and female. They only have plus, minus, and neuter. Well, they have plus, minus, and neuter, which is plus minus over a fraction division sign, which basically means that it can go either way. They don't have male or female. Although plus and minus are supposed to take the place of male. It's kind of weird. The breeding system in Dragon Quest Monsters is kind of it's kind of weird. It's not as well defined as other games. Like Monster Hunter, they just have Monster Fusion, which is their version of breeding.
Even if you lose 2 monsters in the process.
Yeah, Dragon Quest is weird like that because if you breed your monsters, they leave, but they leave an egg. So it's like you breed. It's like, man, these are my 2 ultimate. This is my astral dragon, and this is my green dragon. I'm gonna breed them together and create a new type of dragon, and then they just go away. I'm like, what type of bullshit is this? I'm like, that's
Yeah,
stupid.
they leave you paying the child care.
Well, I mean, the cool thing is that monsters that you breed with super monsters basically become more powerful as the game goes along. Like they level up faster, they gain new skills faster.
You
The
can actually,
skills they
I was
have
gonna
are
say that you can
boosted.
even, yeah, and I was about to say that you can even breed final boss, breed up to create final boss creatures,
That is true. That is true.
which is
That is
kind of
one of the cool
scary.
things. Well, I mean, that's part of the joy of Dragon Quest monsters is you can basically kind of break the game like that. Um, so we've covered all of the stuff I wanted to cover. Anything you guys want to cover before we get to nominating our a-holes of the week?
Right. Um, one one thing real quick, just out of curiosity. Have you? How's your D&D going? Because if anything, I was wondering if you heard of any D&D 6th edition rumors spreading.
I heard they're working on 6th edition. They're not going to call it 6th edition, but that's essentially what it's going to be. I mean, I mean, like, I'm doing a D&D thing this Monday, the 22nd. It's going to be like an epic 3+ hour session because we're going to finish up that one shot we've been doing where we're fighting our way through this city, trying to find out just what's been going on. Plus, my character is trying to get healed up enough that they can get revenge on the people who crippled them. So, I mean, there's some pretty cool stuff going on. But in terms of D&D, I haven't heard any news about any new stuff that's been coming out. But to be fair, I'm not like
Okay.
I don't follow D&D like that. I used to when I was younger, not anymore because of reasons. Reasons, the
Yeah.
reasons that we're here. Sorry.
So if anything, I I usually keep track because I work with D&D gamers and try to play and do our DMs myself. I mean, try to be the dungeon master myself, at least when needed be.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I liked 2.0, which was a D&D, which is what I got started in. And I liked 3.0 to an extent. I loved 3.5. Well, Pathfinder was basically 3.5. 4 is where I just said I'm done. Like I was like 4 was too much for me cuz 4 was just it was too much like bullshit.
It was too much like a board game or MMORPG, right?
No, it was the miniatures. Like I don't like like if I want to play a session of D&D, I don't want to have to go and get out a massive board, lay out terrain, put out miniatures, put out mini facades. Like I don't. That's too much bullshit.
I was
Like
about to say I was gonna say if four if D&D Fourth E came out with something like what's going on with stuff like Roll20 and that would have been perfect. But
yeah, but they didn't. They were like,
didn't.
okay, because Hasbro, well not Hasbro, but I think had Hasbro bought it at that point. I think they had, and they were trying to sell all those damn miniatures and sets and shit. And I'm like, this is just really money grubbing. Because the way I played D&D was back in the day was we would basically create our characters. The DM would have one of those dividers in front of them and they would lay out what was happening and everyone would have their character sheets and their die and then like they would basically play it like that. That's how it would go on. So all you needed was your die, your character sheet, and the DM needed their manual that had the quest or whatever. If it was a homebrew, they didn't even need that. Like, why the fuck should I have to get out? Why the fuck should I have to clear out an entire room of my house just to play D&D? That's stupid. That's the problem with fourth
I was
edition to me.
gonna say mostly mostly the biggest that you would do would be clearing a table,
I mean,
and I don't think that a lot of people have the tables that big.
yeah, but it's not like a normal table. It would be like a gaming table, which is huge. It's like 6 to 8 feet in space. They're huge. Like you'd have to have a special thing just to put together. But yeah, when D&D did that, I was like, I'm walking away from this. 5 is much easier to get into. I will admit that. But by then it was too late. Like I went back to Shadowrun. I went back to Pathfinder. I was doing like Marvel's tabletop game, which is awesome, by the way. If you ever wanted to play a tabletop game where you could play as the Incredible Hulk and rip a dude in half, you can do it in the Marvel tabletop game. It's awesome. I got to do that to a friend of mine because he was. We were playing the game. He was playing as Wolverine. He wanted to start shit with me, and I'm like, statistically, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I did. It was great.
I'm sorry. Can I actually say this without triggering some Marvel fans real quick?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you Wolverine fans, but Wolverine, as much as he is of a radical guy of sorts, his only power is healing, especially with those claws.
Well, Wolverine.
And somebody else has a better healing factor than him.
Well, the thing about Wolverine is that he has 3 primary abilities. He stated it to have 3 primary abilities in the RPG game. He has Berserk, he has a healing factor, and he has Bone Claws. He also, those are like his primary special abilities. He also has an enhanced sense of smell and hearing. Those are basically his only abilities. The problem with Wolverine...
Say, those last 2 are passive, aren't they?
Yeah, they're passive and they aren't major abilities. The other characters have those too, in better ways. The thing about Wolverine, the reason people like Wolverine is that he looks cool, especially in the animated series. Because when we were playing Marvel, like the animated series on Fox was huge.
As I said, as much as he has cool factor, he is one of the he's one of those characters that only has one major thing going for him, and that's the healing he has.
Well, I mean that, and Wolverine does have some strengths. Like for example, against like normal people, Wolverine is terrifying. Like against like normal Joe Blow average fighter, Wolverine is a terrifying character. Like normal humans, Wolverine is terrifying because like guns. It's kind of like in the X-Men movie where they're like, "Don't shoot him, you'll just piss him off." That's all you're gonna do if you shoot Wolverine. He's just gonna get angrier, and once he gets within grappling range, you're screwed because he's got those claws. The problem is that if you put Wolverine against other metahumans, like other mutants or super mutants like the Hulk or Spider-Man, Wolverine he's outclassed. Like he's not even the best fighter because there's been cases where he's fought Cyclops in the Danger Room, and Cyclops didn't even use his powers. Cyclops is a better hand-to-hand fighter than Wolverine. So it's just Wolverine is just overrated.
Makes it even funnier.
Not really, because Cyclops is a super tactician. He's really good at. I mean, there's a reason Cyclops is one of the better leaders that the X-Men have had, because he's really good at thinking objectively and planning shit out and just being like a real tactically minded person. But yeah. We rolled. I ripped his Wolverine in half like they did in the Ultimate comics. Because yes, they already settled this in Ultimate Hulk versus Ultimate Wolverine. Wolverine started some shit, and Ultimate Hulk ripped him in half and threw one half of his body. It was in the Himalayas. He threw one half of his body in one direction and threw the other half in another direction. And Wolverine had to crawl to where his torso was and rejoin it so that it would heal up. So, yeah, everyone who's all those Wolverine fanboys like Wolverine, he's so badass, he'd beat the Hulk. No, he wouldn't. Stop with that shit. Which is why Old Man Logan is bullshit. Old Man Logan is a pile of bullshit. I know you Logan fanboys so desperately want Wolverine to be a badass, but I'm sorry, he's not beating the
I was
Hulk.
gonna say, if anything, the closest he could have to a fair fight would be against somebody like Deadpool, and oh boy, that's gonna be fun.
Not really, because Deadpool has a better healing factor than Wolverine.
Isn't so I take it in Old Man Logan he defeats the Hulk?
Yeah. Yeah, in Old Man Logan, he defeats the Hulk.
Well, I mean, it's whatever the writer wants, I guess. That's usually how it... Wasn't that somebody somebody who wrote Batman versus Superman, like the comic book? Like, he was asked his opinion. It's like, who do you think would win, Batman or Superman? It's like, well, it depends how you write it. It's like, that's such a cop-out answer. That's such a lazy answer.
I mean, for me, it wasn't so much. For me, it wasn't so much the cop out. The thing that bothered me is that, like, okay, I'm just gonna keep it real with you guys. I'm a huge Hulk fan. Like, I have both Hulk Ultimate Marvel branded encyclopedias that basically tell you everything to know about the Incredible Hulk, and like all that type of stuff. And so, but I also am an X-Men fan, so I'm pretty much aware of like the classic X. Like, I'm pretty much aware of their power sets and what their strengths are, what their limits are, stuff like that. The Hulk has no upper limit. Like Wolverine's berserk rage. Yeah, it makes him fight.
Arrow rage.
Well, he basically has a berserk rage.
Yeah.
But his berserk rage doesn't make him any stronger. It doesn't make him any faster. It just makes him just keep on attacking until you basically take him out. And because normal people, no one normal is going to be able to hit him with something hard enough to take him out. He's just going to keep on just coming at you until he's down. But the Hulk, the Hulk's rage is at a completely different level. Okay? The Hulk has no upper limit with how strong he gets. But unlike in Dragon Ball Z, where, when, Vegeta and Trunks get stronger and they bulk out, they also get slower. The Hulk is not like that. The Hulk gets stronger, he gets bigger, his muscles get bigger, but he also gets faster and tougher, and he hits harder. And the longer a fight goes on, the stronger and more powerful he's going to get. Everything that Wolverine has, the Hulk counters. Some people say, well, Wolverine has an adamantium skeleton. I hate to break this to you, but the thin layer of adamantium covering Wolverine's skeleton doesn't mean shit to the Hulk when the Hulk broke out of an adamantium tank that had like 2 foot thick walls of pure adamantium. Broke out of it with his bare hands. So, a dude with I have adamantium on my skeleton. Oh, isn't that cute? You actually think you doing something. It's like, like Wolverine just like, Wolverine.
Well, I mean, he basically I think you said it yourself. He breaks the Marvel universe.
Yeah, he breaks the Marvel universe. But then you also factor in the fact that as Hulk gets like Old Man Logan is an alternate reality of it's like an alternate reality Hulk, because I've seen Old Man Hulk where basically there's like 2 versions of Old Man Hulk. There's the version that was like an alternate reality where there's an alternate version of the Hulk who went evil, killed all the other superheroes, and took over the world. Called himself the Maestro. The Maestro is like, okay, like Savage Hulk outclasses Joe Fixit. The Maestro outclasses Savage Hulk. So if Old Man Hulk, crazy, insane Old Man Hulk could beat the shit out of Savage Hulk, which is arguably one of the more powerful incarnations of the Hulk, and Hulk can beat the shit out of Wolverine, then how the fuck is old Wolverine going to take on an old Hulk? Doesn't make sense. Especially when you factor in all the powers that the Incredible Hulk has, and his regeneration, like age doesn't really hit the Hulk like it does other people. It's like when you watch Batman Beyond and you see old, like 80-year-old Superman, and he's like in great shape. It's like, come on, man, sit your ass down. You know, it's Superman. Come on. But yeah, Old Man Logan, like he kills the Hulk clan because Hulk went crazy and raped his cousin She-Hulk, and they had a whole bunch of inbred kids. And then like Wolverine kills all of the Hulk kids except for one. Like it's like Old Man Logan is a whole bunch of fan fiction, basically. Is the problem. Like, that's what it reads like to me. I'm like, this is fan fiction. I know they enjoy it, but you know.
It's crazy.
And I like Wolverine, but I'm not like I don't want people writing
Enamored?
Well, I don't want people writing fan fiction about the character.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, kind of like how Superman, kind of like how like the Disney Star Wars plays like you watch it and it's like you're watching a fan fiction of Star Wars and not actually Star Wars. That's what it feels like with Old Man Logan. It's like, But anyway, but yeah, like you said, I am kind of into these days I'm more into Shadowrun than I am into in tabletop gaming than D&D. I like D&D, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah. It's just that if anything, since I know that you're into stuff like that, I thought I'd at least ask if you heard any news. That's why.
No, I've just heard that they're working on it. They announced that they're working on it. Like, everyone when their old thing gets kind of when their shit gets kind of
Aged.
Yeah, once it starts to get a little raggedy, they what they do is they just prop this shit up again, like, oh, we're coming out with a new thing. It's like, come on, man. Like, I remember, like, old D&D lasted from the 1970s all the way up to the 1990s. And AD&D lasted like 10 years. And now it seems like every 3 or 4 years, like, oh, we got a new version. Like, come on, man. Why don't you work on what you have? Okay? Stop updating shit all the time. But that's my own personal opinion. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we get to nominating our A-holes of the week?
No, I don't have anything. Well,
I'm set.
Okay.
So let's see. We got 2 big A-holes of the week.
Well, technically,
if I got it right, it's Extra and Activision Blizzard.
Well, technically, we've got 5. We've got 5. Because they're separate. Okay, first off, we have Rockstar and Take-Two. For basically putting out a product that they knew was jacked, and they knew, like, I mean, there's no way, like, let me put it this way: as someone who is intimately familiar with GTA San Andreas, I know that game like the back of my hand. Okay, I played that game so much on PS2, I had the cheat codes memorized. Okay. Hear me. Okay.
It was probably all those cheating phone numbers, right?
No, like the codes to give you to give you health and armor, the codes to give you a good weapon set, the code to give you $250,000 every time you entered it in. Because why would I want to grind for money all the time when I could just put in the code? Because once you play GTA San Andreas enough times, or any sandbox game, like, after a while, you're like, I want to play it with cheats. You beat it, now you want to play it with cheats. Because that's what makes it fun, the cheats. I mean, that's why you play games on PC, so you can mod it, especially like sandbox games, so you can mod it, add new shit to it, to add new variety to it. You know, it's kind of like one of the things I wish Nintendo was open on about like having like more embrace the open source, because there's certain shit like how they have the Samus and Legend and Link to the Past remix, where like you find Metroid shit in Legend of Zelda portion of the game, and then you find Link to the Past shit in the Metroid part of the game, the Super Metroid part of the game, and it just splices between those two. It's like once you've played those two base games so much, you need something to add some variety to it, and you know, modding is a way to do that. But yeah, so Rockstar, Take-Two, and Grove Street Games for knowing that this product was a steaming pile of dookie and putting it out anyway. Rockstar and Take-Two again for throwing Grove Street Games under the bus when they knew that they did not have the resources to get this shit to come out in a stable state. Rockstar and Take-Two again for their sorry ass apology
Wait,
that they announced.
they hit 3. I was about to say they did it 3 times.
Yeah, they get 3
I mean, they get
nominations.
nominated.
Yeah, they get 3 nominations because they did 3 fucked up things. Then we also have to include the console manufacturers for allowing this game, because this game doesn't run well on anything. Like the most stable version of this game is on PC, and that will just randomly crashes. So like it runs like ass on the Switch. And from I heard from people who are familiar with Unreal, this is an issue with just the nature of not optimizing something on for Unreal on the Switch. So here's the thing: because of the hardware of the Switch, unless they come out with an entirely new version of that game for the Switch, which, I mean, how the fuck can a studio of less than 24 people remake a game for the ground up for one console? It's not going to happen. So the worst version of this game is on the Switch. Someone at Nintendo in quality assurance played this game and said, yeah, this is fine, and put it on there. Same thing with Sony and Microsoft. Like, someone played these games that were playing like absolute ass and said, yeah, this is fine. You're insane, okay?
I was about to say, God, that's
embarrassing.
As much as I would want to punch, as much as I want to get on those people that they quality control, I'm more looking at towards Rockstar for that stunt.
Yeah, but I'm saying it on the people because here's the thing. Ultimately, in order for it to be on your marketplace, the console manufacturer has to allow it to be on the marketplace. They could have said, "Hey, you're not going to put this on our console until it runs better than 12 to 18 frames per second." Like in handheld mode, it's running at like 480p, 12 to 18 frames per second, which that's worse than it ran on the PS2 back in the day on standard definition TVs. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is the worst version of this game that you could play. That's how bad it is. Okay.
I was trying to say, as much as I want to get on the quality of life, quality of content, I have to look at the ones who gave that quality of that lack of quality of content.
Well, it was a failure on multiple levels. It was a failure on Rockstar and Take-Two and Grove Street Games for submitting it for approval, but ultimately someone approved it. And it wasn't Rockstar, Take-Two, and Grove Street Games. The people who own these consoles, whoever was in terms of quality assurance was like, yeah, this is fine. And whoever said, yeah, these games are fine to be out here, you need to be fired. Because a game running at 480p, 12 to 18 frames per second, which is worse than it ever ran on the PS2. I mean, like, you need to go. You seriously, somebody, like, a lot of balls were dropped.
Well, I mean, hopefully, maybe it's a lesson not to put your game through a magic machine, hoping that the magic will happen.
Yeah. Well, you know what the worst thing is? Because of the nature of how Unreal works on the Switch version is the one version that will never get fixed. So,
Nope.
you know, you're going to get a shitty version forever, ever. I'm going to quote
That's why they
Shigeru
should.
Miyamoto on this.
Very rich.
You know, a bad game delayed can eventually become a good game, but a bad game once released is bad forever. Forever.
I mean, well, maybe they should have just ported the old engine over. Since, you know, I'm sure there are plenty of people who still work at Rockstar that knows how that engine works.
Yeah, but that takes effort and planning and good management. And,
Yeah, some of the
know.
visuals in that game just look absolutely gross.
You mean in
Like-
the definitive edition?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
just
oh, yeah.
absolutely gross.
Like here's how fucked up Grove Street Games did. There's a part in San Andreas where you meet Claude because, believe it or not, chronologically, the games, if you want to play them chronologically, the games go Vice City, San Andreas, then GTA 3. So there's a point in GTA 3 where you get in a car race with Claude, and Claude pops out. They didn't even use the same model of Claude from GTA 3. It's a completely different model of Claude from GTA 3 than it is from GTA San Andreas. Like it's like what the fuck?
Who the? Yeah, this is the reason why as much as I would want to rip on quality control, I'm ripping the people that gave us this quality in the first
No,
place.
this is a quality.
Just too much.
No, this is a quality control thing. And the
thing
reason
that- the
the
thing
reason
that-
why this is a quality control thing is because it's like this, okay? If you're a student and you do a major project and it's fucked up, your teacher, because I had this happen to me. I'm gonna get a little bit personal, but I'm gonna keep it real, okay? When I was in the 7th grade, I fucked up in school. I did a piss poor science fair project. Okay? Half-assed. My science fair board was a fucking joke. And I got kicked out of the science fair and I got an F. Okay? Now, here's the thing, okay? The people who kicked me out of the science fair and they were right because my shit was fucked up. Okay? It's on me for doing that sorry ass excuse of a project, but they did their job kicking me out because my shit wasn't up to standard. Okay? So ultimately, they would have been in worse shape if they had let my sorry ass shit stayed up there. Okay? So, back to the point. Okay?
I thought they at least let you see the
No.
competition.
This is not, yeah, but everyone else's shit met the standards. My shit did not. My shit got kicked out. I got an F. And you know what? At the time, I was like, how could they do that? That's terrible. But you know what? When you fuck up something that's majorly important, there are things in place that are supposed to catch those levels of fuck ups. And if you allow the piece of shit that this game was,
I know that your project was kicked out. I thought at least you'd be forced to stay and look at what you could have done.
no, I saw the other people's shit. Their shit was way better than my half-ass shit. And like I said, at the time, you're like, oh, I'm upset. But now that I can take a step back and look at it objectively, yeah, they were absolutely right. So I can look at this and see it for what it is. This was a failure on multiple levels. Rockstar and Take-Two and Grove Street Games, they knew that shit wasn't up to standard. But on the other end of the spectrum, I mean, ultimately, it was PlayStation, it was Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo that were like, yeah, this is perfectly fine. Because I'm saying this as someone, look, I am not a quality assurance expert, but I can tell you right now, I have played the ever-loving shit out of Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, and San Andreas. GTA 3, I'm familiar with. It's not my favorite GTA. I play it sparingly, if at all. But I played each of these games for 5 hours, and within the first 10 minutes of each of them, I could see there was something fucking wrong with these games. And if I could see that, there's no way on God's green earth someone who was in QA played these games on any of these platforms that didn't say there's something wrong with this shit. So everybody fucking dropped the ball. So that's what I'm saying. On top of, you know, Rockstar, Take-Two, and Grove Street Games fucking up, it's also on the console manufacturers because they let the shit be there.
Well, the thing is, I mean, not only one of the grossest things about the visuals that I've seen is not only the rain, but the complete they got rid of the fog, so when you're flying and say San Andreas, I think Vice City had planes too.
No, Vice
It
City
just
had
looks
helicopters.
or helicopters. It just
Yeah.
looks like a mess. It just doesn't look right because it's
Yeah.
supposed because the other games they have fog to create this illusion of a really big
Yeah.
place, and
Yeah.
that's completely gone without the fog, and it's just kind of like, well,
It's like it's an island
Ah.
sitting in the middle of the ocean with no
Yeah.
fog around it. And so, like I said, it was a failure on multiple levels. But that isn't the only nominee for Asshole of the Week. We also have the usual suspect of Bobby Kotick, who it turns out knew about this shit for years. He's been there. He's knew about this shit for years and years and years. He buried it. The abuse of employees, the promotion of men who were not qualified to positions while women and people of color underneath them did all the fucking work. The pay disparity where women were not. Hell, matter of fact, this just happened just this year. They fucking fired J. Allen Brack and had a fucking CEO of Blizzard, right? Micah Barr and Jen O'Neill. And they wouldn't even give Jen O'Neill the same pay as Micah Barr when they made her the co-CEO. That's why she fucking left after 3 months. So this tells you they didn't learn a goddamn thing. Okay? And Bobby Kotick, he's been doing this shit for at least 20 years.
They've been replacing everybody in Blizzard, and yet haven't touched anything in Activision.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, Blizzard isn't Blizzard anymore. Blizzard is a subsidiary of Activision. Like all the old people that used to be in charge of Blizzard are gone, and all the people who in power who have been replaced are all Activision people. So come on, let's keep it real. So with that being said, those are our assholes of the week. Rockstar, Take-Two, Grove Street Games, the console manufacturers who let that shit be on their platform. And I had the nerve to charge people $60 for this shit. And Bobby Kotick, who has basically been producing a job inequality factory for the last 20 plus years. Those are our nominees. How should we vote?
I would say for me, honorable mention would probably be Rockstar, because there's there are a lot of steps that you have to take to be able to release a broken game on store shelves or digital stores, and it was able to pass all the censors, just like Cyberpunk 2077 was able to pass all the censors. And but Bobby Kotick, just like
A better rash.
Ubisoft, the East Game On, who knew very well that this stuff was happening and ignored it. I would say he's the one to pick.
Yep, I agree. Bobby Kotick.
Bobby, you cannot get out of our mouths, and we wish you would stop.
See, that sounds dirty. I don't want any man in my mouth ever,
I don't know
ever. But yeah, Bobby Kotick once again.
I'm sorry.
Now, the reason I'm voting Bobby Kotick.
Who does this?
Yeah, the reason I'm voting Bobby Kotick is because Bobby Kotick has been doing it longer. Bobby Kotick has been doing this for 30 years. There was a time when Rockstar was a great studio. Not much anymore, but there was a time when Rockstar made great games. There was a time when Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft would not allow certain games on their platform if they were fucking atrocious or not meeting standards. There were times when these companies had a certain level of things. And within the last 5-6 years, there were times when certain shit wouldn't appear on the platforms. Now, with Activision, Bobby Kotick's been doing this a long time, and he's not going to change. So, when you've been doing something like this, and here's the thing. You don't just start hiding people doing fucked up shit like this. Oh, we just started doing this the last 5 years.
You have to be. I was about to say, you have to do that beyond the year 2000.
Yeah, this is long-term behavior. This is long-term behavior this has been going on. Now, I don't know if there's data going back that far, but just looking at the sociological, pathological, if you look at the sociological aspect of people covering up fucked up shit like this is something that's been going on for a long time. And I can't say I'm surprised. So basically, Bobby Kotick is the asshole of the week because once again, the more we discover, the more we uncover, the worse it gets. I feel like Seth Brundle in The Fly, where Jeff Goldblum types in and he discovers that he's had his DNA fused with a housefly, and he just and the more he discovers, the transformation goes, the worse the shit gets. That's basically how it feels with Bobby Kotick. It just gets worse. It just continuously gets worse. And, I'm almost afraid of what's going to happen next week or the week after because I know it's just going to get worse for Bobby Kotick. But maybe this is what we need. We need, Bobby Kotick was able to get away with this for so long because there wasn't any scrutiny on what he was doing as long as he was making money for the shareholders. There needs to be scrutiny on these people. There needs to be accountability. There needs to be someone who steps in or a board that steps in and says, look, this is fucked up. This person is wrong. They need to be held accountable. And, Bobby Kotick needs to be held accountable. So, yeah, asshole of the week.
At least we could agree on that, and I'm sorry for putting that image into your head.
Yeah, I never want to imagine, especially Bobby Kotick, who looks like a troll.
Just that he keeps on popping up like a zombie.
Yeah, but he's an
At least
evil
a zombie,
person.
there's ways to get rid of him.
Yeah, you shoot him in the head. Unless it's those Return of the Living Dead zombies, which are just invincible. They just keep on coming. You can't even shoot them in the head. They just keep on coming. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
Yeah. Project Console. Project Console's on Tuesdays at 7:30 Eastern Time. And I'll have a whole host of news stories and topics to talk about.
Hey, I'm Darkest
See you then.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Joel, anything you want to pimp out?
No, but I do got something to ask. What are we going to do for stuffing day, for the day before stuffing day?
I guess we can do a Thanksgiving cast where we just give thanks for the year. Maybe that might be our Game of the Year cast where we nominate our games of the year. I don't know. That'd probably be better because that's positive. So with that being said, for me, I have the BS Busters every Wednesday and Saturday, 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've had a flurry of content this week because, I actually had passion for what was going on. One of the big things being, of course, the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition disaster that's been going on. But I also have my review of the GTA Definitive Edition Trilogy. That's on my channels. If you want to reach me, you can reach me via email, Discord, Twitter. All of that's in the description section. No need to go over it. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, and
Hype responsibly.
Hype responsibly, ladies and gentlemen.
all right, that's the end of the podcast.